Become aware of the problem that you have today and then fix it. Otherwise, you're gonna keep repeating the cycle. I have high standards and I want everything to be to perfection. Probably the same reason why I don't post as regularly on YouTube, because I want every script to be scripted to perfection. Every line needs to make sense. I don't want a single ounce of fluff in these videos. I want them all to be fully valuable. You can't call yourself self-aware if you're only self-aware about the bad things about you. And I self-reflect a lot on the things that I could be doing better, but I don't reflect enough on the things that I've done right, which is a fault on its own.
How does it feel to not be in a studio?
It feels amazing.
I feel like that you can actually be a lot more chill and a lot more relaxed if everyone's not in a studio. That's my biggest takeaway just from the past 4 or 5 months. I don't think it's good. I think for our conversations, because we're always ripping shit and just talking dumb shit. I don't think we should be doing that in the studio all the time.
Really?
I think you'll get more you'll have more fun doing it yourself, right? Just a couple of nicotine gums, Tuesday, 9 o'clock at night. What do you think?
I like the desk vibes.
Really?
But I'm a LinkedIn girl.
It's because you're a boss, babe.
Yeah. I like the formality of a desk and a mic.
Do you like that persona? What brand do you want for yourself? You could pick it.
The girl boss archetype, if you can't see by the glasses.
The darkness does work.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't work in a studio though.
I guess not. But I guess the girl boss persona comes out.
I think it is a lot harder for women though to do branding than guys.
Oh, of course.
I think since you said it to me on Max's podcast, you
know how many girls have talked to me about that specific bit?
That's been stuck in my head.
That's good.
There's a few things for me, the difference between girls and guys, as Dakota looks at me. One is it's so different for branding, right? Because just the positioning, right? Guys can say dumb shit and then it's all brushed off. But as you were saying that in the last podcast, you want to be more conscientious of it. And the second thing that we talked about as well, Dakota, was I don't know, just general traveling, it's less, you just got to be careful, right? It's completely different if it's a woman or a guy traveling, working, doing their own thing. It's perceived differently.
I think all men in the industry, and I don't say it's not bad. They think that it's easy for a woman to do things, and it is, but there's always a nuance to it. Yes, pretty girls will get, I guess, more attention. It'll be easy to grow their accounts, but when you go deep down into the reasoning, they're growing fast for not the right reasons, and then it makes you feel like it is. Then people aren't buying. So if you're trying to grow your business and you're basing it off your looks, then ultimately people are not going to want to buy what you're selling. So the product, they're gonna want to buy you, and you're better off going on to other platforms to sell your beauty.
Yeah, but that's the whole problem with even for guys. They're building this the OG fitness guys who created content on Instagram. They're putting it up, they look good. But then no guys were actually buying their stuff.
Yeah.
It was just 80% girls.
True.
That were following them. So they were so broke. So that's the idea, is that the more outwardly that you look you're that part, you're actually not. Unless it's education. So education is the opposite. Education has an inverse relationship to if you actually truly do know your stuff, you can crush it. You could have a coaching program, you can consult, but it's the opposite for entertainment.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's why I've always respected people in the fitness industry who are able to make a career out of it, because then it's not just about fitness, it's about the programming and even PTs. Some of them don't even know how to sell themselves, or even they have a program, but they don't even know how to put it on a platform.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? Everyone is 99.9% basic at everything they do, apart from that one thing.
Yeah.
So if you're really fucking good at writing LinkedIn copy, or if you're good at doing ab crunches, it's you should lean into that and then either build a team around you or just outsource it to someone who does know that thing. You get me? There's a big kind of inflection there versus what we think that we need.
But then even outsourcing is hard, because then you end up outsourcing the wrong thing or to the wrong person. Then you end up wasting a bunch of money and time. You, me, and Dakota, we all know that.
In what way?
Well, so many times, like I've tried to hire to reduce my problem because I'm not, I don't understand that thing as well as I could. But then I realize I end up hiring the wrong person.
Yeah, but
they don't
that's
know what
because
they're selling.
I think that you don't realize that you're actually really good at things though.
Yeah.
I think that's like a girl thing. Genuinely, like
girl
actually, like me and Dakota are both like absolute dumbasses, right? But we just think that we can just do anything. You know, that we're like, we'll just figure it out. Like that's actually it. It's like the meme curve. We're banging our head off the wall until the tweet is produced or the video comes out. Right? And that means we get the outcome, which invariably equals the out. So we get the output, sorry, which equals the outcome under the variable of time that you can't dictate. Whereas like for yourself, I think you undervalue like your actual ability, and you can actually do a lot more than what you think you can.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, because I think
It's a very nice compliment.
That's true for just like a lot of women in general. They're insecure about their ability.
Just want to take one quick break to ask you one question. Have you been enjoying these episodes? Because if you have, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel so that more people can see these episodes and be influenced to build an online business this year. Thank you.
I think what for me is like there's a line where, you know, I started as a freelancer where I was like raw dogging it, like literally going in for everything, getting the reps in, grinding so hard, just by brute force, and then trying to get myself out of that mentality of I have to do everything myself because I want to scale, and then I start hiring people that I still want to do everything myself, but then I can't. You know?
Why? Like what's going on under the surface?
What do you mean?
Like why do you not have the ability to like let go?
Because I have control issues.
Why?
Because I'm a perfectionist.
But why though? There's always a reason underneath as to like why that is. Like what's the reason why you're like raw dogging it? You know?
I guess it's just, it comes from who I am, and I work, like my standards are very high, very high. I have high standards and I want everything to be to perfection. Probably the same reason why I don't post as regularly on YouTube, because I want every script to be scripted to perfection. Every line needs to make sense. I don't want a single ounce of fluff in these videos. I want them all to be fully valuable. And then that is my biggest bottleneck, is myself. And you'll find most creatives have that bottleneck, because to me, the other day I realized this, like I get highly stressed with my editors or anyone that I hire for my YouTube team, because they don't get it sometimes. They don't get the standard to which I want the videos to come out. And the reason for that is I am also a consumer of this content that I'm trying to create. And I know how it feels when I don't watch a video and I watch a video and I don't enjoy it, or when the music is wrong and all these things. Like to me, it's really an art. And I guess that's also why artists are so sad often, because they're not getting to that ideal outcome often. It takes them a while. Like Michelangelo took so long to do his like paintings and like sculptures, and they dedicated their entire life to it, and then it came out as a masterpiece. But it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, but in that case of Michelangelo, he did a lot of reps, right?
Yeah.
He did. It was a statue, or it was a Hercules initially, and then he did a statue of David. What I'm saying is he had like monumental leaps through his career. That's an important part, right? It's not like, oh, I'm gonna do the same shit like I did yesterday. Like you fundamentally have to change for it to get better.
Yeah.
And I've seen that evolution in yourself.
Thank you.
How have you seen it in yourself?
I haven't seen it.
You have to stop somehow and think about it. I feel like you do as well, because you are reflective.
I reflect on, I was thinking on this, like someone was, you can't call yourself self-aware if you're only self-aware about the bad things about you. And I self-reflect a lot on the things that I could be doing better, but I don't reflect enough on the things that I've done right, which is a fault on its own. So I'm highly self-aware, but more self-aware of the things that I could be doing better, because I'm always consistently looking for, I guess, perfection, or just the best version of myself, which ultimately I will never reach.
Okay, what have you done well?
Well, how am I doing well?
Yeah, like if you think about that, so like what is it you look at and you're like, okay, like I'm happy with that progress. Because like we, all of us, we've all
Evolved.
But we've all outdone what we expected to do in the beginning.
Before we go any further, I have one question for you. Do you want to generate more leads for your business? Well, I've put together an entire system how anyone can use a podcast to generate more leads for their business. And the best part is you don't even need a podcast to get started. I've created an entire guide and framework for you to be able to get more guests, more clients, more customers, more people in your pipeline and generate more revenue. This exact system is available right in the description down below, and you'll be able to leverage a podcast to generate more leads for your business and be able to increase your exposure, increase your authority, and increase your influence in your industry. So check that out right down below.
I think the thing that I'm proudest of is how confident I've become in the process of becoming this entrepreneur that I'm striving to become. If you met, even my mentor was having dinner with me like for my birthday, and the way I even spoke to the waiter, like with such directive, like I was so direct. I was like, I don't like this. Can you change it? He took me for lunch, like when I first started, when I was like 24, 25, and also shy. And I wouldn't ask for what I wanted or anything. He just looked at me. He's like, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, I just ordered sushi, man. And he's like, yeah, but even the way you just approaching it, like you would have never done it. And I think it just reflects on everything else I've done. And my biggest achievement, honestly, is my circle of friends. Like I always say my friends are my biggest flex. The people I surround myself with is truly a reflection of me, including you and even Decorator. Like, it's just like I am surrounded by highly either intelligent people or smart or just successful driven.
Highly is very debatable. Very debatable.
Everybody's highly, silly and I guess good at scamming.
Yeah, we're all just fucking scammers. All Stripe scammers. Stripe refund scammers. No, I get you though, but I think the big thing about like the kind of like networking effects is like you said this to me, Dakota, the other day, which is like every one of us is kind of like each other.
Yeah.
We're all kind of just like each other. Like the internet kind of finds the people that are like you. That seems like obvious, but it's not though, because when you get in person, then you realize, oh fuck, like we actually are quite similar. It's not just like the post on LinkedIn or the video on YouTube. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I definitely know like my online persona offline. I think I've got a little bit more humor than I let on. I'm funny person, I promise.
Debatable. But do you think that's a problem? Like that online personas are different than a person?
I don't think it's a problem because my online persona, it is a part of me, but I don't necessarily think I need to show all of me to get my points across. I am trying to build a personal brand based on education, not just personality. Because I used to be a fitness influencer, right? And a lot of it was my physique and what I looked like and even how I behaved. And I'm very proud that I can excel at mastering delivering value in a way that it's without people can't take the information and consume it, whether they like me or not, I guess. And that is cool because I can then impact more people without them judging me. And they just it's like George Mack. Like he's a vessel of information. And I can take that, like, and I also do that. I take all that information, I dissect it. I make it easy to understand and people can grow. And then if they're interested in getting to know me, then they can come watch our podcast where we're like idiots.
We should do a live podcast.
Yeah.
That actually would be cool.
Me?
We should.
Yeah. Let's do that.
We could do a live podcast.
Live stream.
Again, I just think that if you're known for something, so let's say you're known for personal branding, or let's say you're known for like sales or marketing, you shouldn't be trying to be known as great as everything else.
Oh yeah, I agree.
But that's the problem, is that people look at people through the lens of, well, their relationships are fucked. They don't take his advice because, like Hormozy, right? I love Hormozy, helped me a ton. He's a G and he's jacked. But people are like, I don't like his attitude towards like life. I'm like, he's not telling you the attitude towards life. He's showing you the fucking funnel, So like, judge him for the funnel because that's what he's perceiving to the world. Like your own observations, But I think that, and I find that a lot because I interview not Hormozy, but these types of people, and everyone always says like, yeah, but like this guy, and I'm like, but if you looked at me, you would say the same thing. This guy sits in his dungeon all day and just talks to people on the internet. That's fucking
fun.
weird. But
Nah,
the
it's
same
not
person
weird.
would say the same thing, right? So that's why it's tough for people to create a brand, because they're thinking like, oh, like I don't want to be perceived in that particular way, but like people not liking you is gonna be the reality.
Yeah, everybody. No, if no one likes you, then if everyone likes you, you're doing something wrong. But I suppose there's like two sides to this argument, because too many people think that, and there is a problem with humans. It's an ego thing. We all think that we're so special that we should be talking about ourselves, and everybody should care about all these other new little things that on our lives, like our relationships, our hobbies, like our background. Like I write a lot for people, especially when in the ghostwriting days when I had the agency, and I would have clients really hate the copy that we were writing for them because it wasn't the full story that they were giving us. Like, let's say this person became a dentist through this and this, and went through all of these things, and I wouldn't include the nuances, like they had a dog and it died, and their kid went to school and then they changed, things that are so crucial for them because they are so attached to this memory. They're not interesting to someone else, but then people think that they must put them on and people should care. But the moment people need to let go of that, like, you should care about this, it's more about the value that you're providing someone. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I also had this issue recently, actually very recently. I hired someone to help me out with some things, and I don't want to be too specific about this. It was business stuff and
Girl stuff.
no, it was
I'm
a
joking.
guy, and he started tweeting stuff, like his personal ideas, like, on Twitter you just go and talk about your personal beliefs and stuff. And that really shifted the way I saw that person, because I didn't necessarily agree with everything that he was saying, and I don't think I would work with that person again because they were so forward with their beliefs. And I see now what people see Hosmosi when they don't want to take advice from him, even though the advice is insanely good and can make you millions. I understand why people wouldn't take it, because they're not receptive. You're not open to wanting advice from this person.
It's like everything in a vacuum, right? Like everything has to be nuanced case. That's why I love podcasts, because it's not painted in one brush, right?
Yeah.
Like we will upload this with no fucking editing and just throw it up. And it's like, you can make an assumption. And if people make an assumption they don't like me, it's cool.
Yeah.
Like, cool. But I think, again, this may, Dakota might not agree with this, but I think when you write something like Twitter, where it's very, very crystallized, sometimes you could maybe write something that's not aligned to you, but it's aligned to the person you're
Trying to
see, because there's so little room for, like, there's so little room for adjustment. Whereas a podcast, I can kind of just be like, oh, like, I do this,
Yeah.
I got dogs, all this kind of shit, and I can kind of wrap in those other stories and then have the central theme as to what we do. Everything we talk about is about building offers and growing an audience and building a community and making money. But then we talk about other things too, right? So I just mean, like, if you're really conscientious about that, you just need to understand the game that you're playing, because unfortunately people will read stuff like that and then say, oh, I didn't like that, or I didn't like this.
Well, it's all about perception. Like, Robert Cialdini always says, like, we like who we're like, and it's always like, how much of you are you willing to put out there in order to get what you want? So most people will always highlight the things that they want people to see, so they like them more. But then there's all the people that are just unfiltered, like, I am, like, this is who I am, and then just put it all out there. But then these people then have to be okay with being judged for being 100% of who they are, and some people can't handle it. Like, and that's why a lot of people don't do social media, because they don't want to be judged. Other people are completely okay, like, I don't care. But other people, like, I have friends who just are super educational, and they don't want to share anything about themselves besides the education, because
I've
they
learned that
don't
from
care.
You know, that's what I've learned from you, was being able to kind of come out of my shell more and just be more like, that's not a good way to say that,
but like,
just be more like
telling your story more.
Yeah, like, you go to the elevator earlier and you were like asking me about stuff with Elise and the dogs and shit like that. It's just more vocal in that regard. And then when someone hits the VSL, they're like, oh, this guy isn't just a potato.
Yeah.
You know? He has more things than the potato.
A potato with personality.
But, and I really do want to kind of go down this path, which I think I just thought about 2 minutes ago. Which is like, I think like a lot of your success comes from like when you were younger. You know, I think like your earlier experiences in life have shaped you really well. And I kind of know scattered kind of your plan, your kind of story. But like my story has shaped everything we do shapes the person that we are today. Positive and
Actually, I
negative.
had a really good discussion with one of my friends yesterday about self-awareness. Like you're self-aware of everything that happened to you and why that's been able to help you now. But there's some people that aren't.
Yeah, but I've gone through like a lot of really fucking heavy shit, and that's the reason why I've done it. Like I think fucking who I sound to, but like I've just gone through like a shit ton of like therapy, like I had a shit ton of PTSD and stuff from like when I was a kid, like really, really bad, awful shit. And then I've remembered that and I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, I gotta go sort that out. And then by doing that, I'm like, okay, I had the values and the beliefs that were bestowed about me. And it was up to me to go and
Yeah.
forge those new beliefs and change those new neural pathways and discover new ways to do things. Because otherwise I'd literally just be a degenerate. You know, like the path that I was on, I was just going to be a degenerate. You know, it's up to you to look at those points. And the biggest things for me was like coming off alcohol was huge. That actually was huge. That was a huge influence. I never had an issue with alcohol, but it was an obstruction. So it was kind of like if you just see like an obstruction to a construction site, that was in the way of me getting to the other side. So yeah. So in your instance, like so when you
Wait,
were
how
younger,
many years are you sober?
3.
3, same.
So 100,000 days in March. So
Congrats.
what did you give up?
I gave up like 3 years ago. I can't remember the exact month, but it's around 3 years.
What was the event for you to give up?
It was during a party in London. I remember we were out at one of those famous Mayfair clubs. And I remember going out and seeing my best friend at a time get roofied, and she was okay with it. And I was like, what is this world doing to people?
Oh my fucking God.
And she was like, I was like, someone just put a thing in your drink. She's like, yeah, okay. Like, and I was seeing my prettiest, smartest friends get drawn into this pit of, I don't know, hell and desire and all of these things. And I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this anymore. I don't belong here. And I would keep on going to these parties with her sober because I really loved her. But then I realized I didn't know her and she didn't know me. There was no connection between us without the alcohol. And nothing sucks more than knowing that you're in a room full of people and you feel so alone. And that's how I felt. And I was looking for, I remember this time I was sober at a club and I was looking for real conversation like this. And no one wanted that. They just wanted to like either ask for a number, like get with me or anything. I was just like, I'm not interested. And even if I was, I want to just talk and have deep, like real conversation. It was that. Also, the pandemic really helped because it took away all the FOMO from going out. And I think that is one of the main things that drove me to drinking and partying so much, was feeling like I needed to be somewhere to belong in these groups full of people.
And in your journey has been like a lot more meteoric,
Yeah.
than mine. But it's been the same timeline. We roughly probably started a little bit earlier than you, but I was eating concrete for so many years on my podcast. But to the point that it was the pandemic really enabled that, right? So I quit alcohol as well at the same time. I put that time in and I was like, what am I doing? Like what is going on, right? I was making like 40K a year, then 4 years of engineering in school. It was awful. And what I'm trying to say is that the awareness and clarity you get from taking a step out of alcohol and then realizing that, okay, that business is possible. Making 7 posts on LinkedIn a week is possible. Making 2 podcasts a week is 100% possible because you have all this time and then you have clarity. And then why I'm saying that is because, and why I asked you about the inflection is because for me anyway, and for a lot of young guys, because I still like help a lot of young guys come off alcohol. I just don't really talk about it. And it's obviously free. The big thing is that they're in a pit, a whirlpool, and they can't get out of it. And then the only way to get out of it is to have like a fucking massive goal. So then you can tell people like, hey, I'm not going out because I'm working on X, Y, and Z. I'm working towards this and doing this or whatever. And then when you have that goal for so long, you start getting a positive feedback loop because it is inevitable that you will get better at whatever you do, no matter you just do it. Like whatever that is. But then there reaches a point whereby you you get good at something, and then you get the clarity as to why I gave this up in the first place. And that's what hit me, which was like, alcohol was a huge problem for me growing up. Huge. And it's not okay. And alcoholism is rife in Ireland. Whatever people want to say, so bad, so awful. And it was like, okay, and now I have the things that I've always wanted with the elimination of the stuff that was destroying everything around me.
So when men come to you and ask you for advice, like what is like, do you tell them find a goal?
Yeah, it's brutal, man. Honestly, like a lot of guys, they're stuck in they're stuck in like this situation whereby all their friends want to keep them poor. It's like tall poppy syndrome and pull them back in. So the first thing I always say is like, get the health in order. So like plan like a kind of a fitness goal. So whether you sign up with a coach, pay him $100 a month or whatever, and he just helps you like with nutrition and health. Because when that starts getting dialed in a small bit, you'll come off alcohol and then you'll realize then like, oh, like my sleep's getting better, my training's getting better, I look a bit better. It's confidence. And then if they want to go build something, which is a content or a podcast or a business, they can kind of start working towards that. And then the positive feedback loop will kind of kick in. And then within 30 days, you're almost irrecognizable as a result. And you can kind of follow through that process and you just keep going on and on and on. And then you get to a point where the question isn't when will I drink again? It's why would I drink again? And that's generally like 90 days to 6 months in. And I had a podcast with Adam Power earlier who was saying that he's off it for a year and it was because of James Blackwell. And James Blackwell is a very like grounded guy. And Adam met James and James was like, oh, like I just have clarity. And I was like that's it. That's literally it. It was 6 months he was off alcohol. I was like, that's it, man. 6 months, you just start seeing like the world a little bit differently. So the way we'd extrapolate that in a party context is guys, you know, trying to get onto girls in a club. That's just fucking weird, right? It's just weird. People falling over the street, weird. Guys hitting each other with bottles, weird. Guys stabbing each other coming back, so weird. And then you just get yourself out of that absolute hump to the degree that now that just never comes into the question, you know? Like we worked all day on Saturday to get to meet Dakota and then we went for dinner and we were like, oh, I'm going to bed. And then we were in bed at like 9 o'clock. You know? Like that's the game I want to play.
Yeah.
And I think like boring is the new cool, right?
100%. And that's pretty cool that you do that, by the way. I didn't know.
Yeah. But people come for advice to you as well for different things you don't even realize, right? Because those like personal things for people are, everything is a mirror, right? Everything's a mirror for like what you give. And this is why it's funny because like you see personal development offers all the time and usually the help that they give is the help that they need. You know, they're like, you need to calm down, be more present and all this kind of stuff.
That's actually, yeah. Every time I'm doing a masterclass in my community, I'm like, actually, this is a call out to myself. Yep. By the way, don't take it personally because I get so emotional about it. I'm like shouting. I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm shouting, but it's a reminder for myself because I did this yesterday. So, yeah. By the way, yeah,
it's always a mirror.
So true.
Because you're interested in it, and you want to see other people do it well. You got to make sure not to take that too far because that's what people kind of do, right? They kind of take it a bit too far. And they don't live up to that expectation of themselves.
Yeah. I hate when people like over promise and under deliver as well.
I met a very, very, very famous author about a month ago and the guy was super dialed in. The first thing he said to me was, you'd be surprised who people are in this space that do the exact opposite to what, and these guys are like the top 10 authors of our generation in the business sector. And he was like, yeah, most people in this space actually they don't do anything. They don't do anything to say. And this guy was like 50.
Yeah, the industry is full of lies. Like and I have met so many people that are not like what we thought they were, or like their business models are an entire lie. Especially when they try and sell you as a friend. It's been incredibly disappointing. So again, I can't really get into specifics, but
give an analogy.
Someone saying that their business model is this, like they're making 7 million plus 7 figures plus a year based on the systems, etc. And the reality is it's not, because then their customers come to me complaining about it, and no one talks about those people, like exposing them because they make them sign NDAs or stuff like that, or put them into heavy contracts so these things don't come out. So it's been actually really disappointing, especially when you look up to these people for years and then you see the true reality that these people are either they have narcissistic tendencies or they're just using you. And it's really heartbreaking, especially for me. I love people very much. I always feel honored to surround myself by people that are in the industry, and then I end up being very deeply hurt because people just try and take advantage of me and my kindness or the love that I give or the access that I give to whatever I have in my possession. Like I do not, when it comes to friends, I don't pull back. Like I'm not gonna gatekeep anything. Like you can take anything, I'll give it to you. I'll help you, I'll coach you, whatever.
What about if I send you my mirror board at 4 a.m.?
I will gladly read it. It would be my biggest pleasure. It is my biggest
It's your
reading.
nighttime sleeping material.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's like I wake me up. Better than a monster. But yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. I love it. I love it.
But you know, like at the end of the day, right? These guys at the top of the game understand psychology, right? And they understand there's a line between persuasion and manipulation.
Yeah. I'm still trying to understand either and both. I don't know.
Well, like this is the logic is that I had this conversation with someone yesterday, and they said to me, you know, I always try to look at the best in people, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea, but
That's me.
there's case by case, like for sure, you know.
But I guess you don't know the person that you're either. You don't know if they're either persuading you or manipulating you. And to be honest, like I'm a fan of marketing. I love being manipulated. I went on to Air One in LA. Do you know? It's like the fancy Whole Foods, but like bigger. I went to it, and then you're always being manipulated or persuaded to buy products that I didn't want to.
$40 grapes.
And I happily, I never swiped my card faster with more pride about being marketed to, and I felt like the right ICP, and I was so proud of myself for spending so much money in products I didn't need because I love marketing. I love good marketing. Yeah, persuasion, manipulation, I don't know. They said that I couldn't sleep. It was, you can't sleep because of this. I will buy it because I can't sleep. So buy. That is me. I enjoy it. I find so much joy in the marketing of things.
Yeah.
Like I love being persuaded. Please manipulate me. Like if someone finds a way to manipulate me to buy a product, I will admire that person.
You're just gonna get like 50 DMs after this. Like, do you need short form content?
Yeah, I think there's a problem with a lot of the DMs that I get. And please take this advice. Like all of us get the typical, oh, hey, name. But I saw you can't get 50. You can get 50 to 100 qualified leads a day if you use our product for a business name, product. Thank you, name. And they don't even fill in the blanks. They don't do anything right. And I would much rather be persuaded and manipulated to buy a product than have some shitty cold DM like that. Please just put a little bit of effort. Read Influence by Robert Cialdini. Learn to persuade. And I will happily buy.
What about the outsourced engineering department in Vietnam?
What's that?
Do you ever get those emails? Like, do you want to develop a no-code JavaScript app? Surely you get those,
That's
no?
so niche. That's probably just you.
Yeah. I get those all the time, which is like, we are an outsourced software development company in Vietnam. Surely people get that as well, no?
I think that is just you.
I'm in the wrong fucking funnel. I mean, I want to be in the qualified leads funnel.
No, you don't.
I need 50 to 100 qualified whip calls.
Did you know that you could get 100x on your revenue if you join our school community? No, I don't wanna. Please leave me alone.
Where is your community hosted?
Discord.
That's nerdy.
My I didn't know how to change it because I used to be a crypto girly. And I joined Discord for like Discord trading groups.
Yeah, you said you're into crypto. That seems weird for you.
No, I think it's so aligned with who I am, to be honest.
But
like,
I think there's lots of crypto girls who like use it as a funnel for like OnlyFans though. Have you noticed that? Dude, I saw, this is so off topic. I saw like OnlyFans chicks running a podcast. Did you see this?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
So good. So good. They do a solo podcast and they make up the Q&A like 100%. You know, because they're like, oh, this guy asked me about X, Y, and Z. And they have an IG of just super viral clips. And then every like fourth post is like, oh, if you like more, just click out the link.
Yeah, there's this like really popular TikTok creator called Anna Paul, and she's like a lifestyle influencer. But she's funding this lifestyle with her OnlyFans. But she's got teenage girls in love with her because she's so warm and cute and lovely, and she's got a family and everything. She looks like a nice girl. But then in the back end, it's like this very dark OnlyFans thing.
Oh.
But yeah, okay, so my Discord name is like Lara.eth997.
No.
I can't change it. I can't change it. I don't know how.
Can I just create a new Discord?
I just couldn't be bothered. I was like, yeah. So anytime anyone tags me on like the community, so it's like, hey,
Oh
Lara.
my- What happened to brand?
Yeah, I went off on that. I think it adds depth though. They're like, oh, she's into crypto. Because then like people are
This
like,
is
oh.
your own community.
Yeah.
And you have Ethereum in the name of your own community.
I think it just adds to a little bit of mystery that I've got going on.
Oh my fucking God.
I
What
don't
other interests do you have outside of like LinkedIn?
I used to be really into crypto, but I wasn't into crypto for the money. I was in it for the vibes.
That's bullshit. You're into it for the money.
No.
That's like people that say they're into crypto for the technology.
No, she's actually.
Really?
Yeah, like I just enjoy deeply how the marketing for it went and like how they were getting people to buy. Like, because they memes were providing information, and as someone who got so like the education system did me so wrong and made me feel so stupid, and then seeing how memes were taking such complex finance information and making it so simple and digestible so anyone could buy stocks and learn like quickly, I got so interested. And then also the communities behind these crypto coins, etc. And that actually was the thing that's helped me so much now as to how to build a cool cult like community. Because I learned that from Dogecoin and that like the GME and everything. And so my analysis was like, I'm gonna get into crypto not for the money, because I didn't have any money to gamble on anyway. But I was learning how they were just talking to people. And again, memes are everything. I love memes so much. And how I learned crypto was through these stupid fucking memes about like dogs. So
that's such a good observation.
Yeah. Did you not like see that?
No, I'm a dumbass. Like, I didn't see. We talked about this earlier. Like, we were having food earlier, and we were saying that I was saying that I tried to. This is a blessing and a curse. Limit my exposure to like other things in the world, because everything for me is a distraction from the goal. If it's outside of it. Now, there's a massive caveat to that, which is you miss opportunity. So, like, I wouldn't be on Twitter to learn the ecosystem of the community, but I should be, because that contributes positively to what I'm doing, and it would make a positive impact.
Yeah, I guess for me, it was intrinsic because I was always seeking belonging, right? And the needing for belonging also is really rooted in crypto culture, because all these crypto people, maybe they're into it for the money, but they stay for the community.
You spoke in my community. I don't think you met the guy, Adam. He has like a biohacking offer. So a guy in our community has like an offer, and he has a podcast. He's a biohacking podcast. But his offer is helping people like improve their health through like biohacking shit. But it's for crypto guys. So it's the avatar on top is like, if you're in Web 3.0 and your health is shit because you spend 14 hours a day looking at Dogecoin, here's how you improve your health.
That's a really good
It's a fucking sick offer. Yeah, and it's
Very
funny
niche.
because like I review everyone's offer like that we work with, like everyone. And I'll often look at that and like critically be like, I'll get rid of it. But then I'll go back to like a day later. I'm like, that's fucking great. Leave that in.
How's it working for him?
Amazing. He just like, he's always had a crypto consulting business where he worked with like crypto projects as an agency. And now he's doing like coaching, health kind of coaching for biohacking for these guys. And it's working great. Booked up loads of calls. Has lots of people in the industry then that can also consult. Like biohacking guys can consult on these people in this program. You know? That's a cool model of coaching.
Yeah.
Where you don't do the coaching, you get people to do every module. You know, Iman did that with Digital Launchpad.
Did he? Oh,
He's
yeah.
like-
Yeah.
Here's Paul Daly doing sales, Matt Shields doing agency.
By the way, I love your podcast with Paul Daly. It was like one of my favorites.
I meant to do another one with him.
Yeah, it is the one that I go back to the most, by the way.
Yeah, well, we're trying to do it in person, but we're going to do it remote.
I think his podcast really enlightened me on religion, because he had this really such a good quote, because you asked him about the money and the lifestyle, and he's like, why would I look for validation in a world that burned their Lord or something like that? It's such a beautiful quote, and I think about it often. And that led me to explore Christianity even more. So thank you for always asking amazing questions to
Did you
guests.
grow up Catholic from Mexico?
No, I was actually raised Buddhist, atheist type. My parents are heavily Buddhist. I know
Really?
they're Mexican and they're weird. I think that's why I'm also very weird. But yeah,
That's unusual. What was that like?
It was interesting. My parents are heavily spiritual. Like if you go into my house, my dad's office is filled with crystals and Buddhas, and that's why my dad is such an amazing role model for me, because he's so aligned and soft, and in his masculine but also in his feminine, he's like very aligned, and hence why he's brought me up with such grace, in my opinion, because he understands energy. And always around my dad, I'm like always like super girly, and like I'm a daddy's girl, and they just for me like it was all about energy. Like even the way I was born, you know, Reiki healing.
Yes.
I was a Reiki baby, so my mom couldn't get pregnant, and then she got Reiki done, and then she was able to then have me. And I think that's why I have some sort of like energy about me to some extent, where I am just highly perceptive to energy and very
I saw an energy
empathetic.
healer recently.
You what?
I saw an energy healer recently.
Really? How was that?
Fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's good.
It was the most craziest shit in my life. One of my mates, Kat, her name's Kat, she very, very spiritual. Like a lot of people in Bali are very spiritual, but you take it as much as you want. Like Tom is very spiritual as well, you know? And I kind of like ever so often just
Go into
get
it.
more information from him, more
Yeah.
insights, more data. And I was in Lombok like last week, and obviously I carry like a lot of like stress and pressure, and I do think it's down to like energy, because like the energy you emit is what you receive. You know, the more push you are in calls, the less you close, the more you don't give a shit, the more you receive. Same with dating, same with everything, same with business. So I'm a big proponent of like energy and how it's transmitted is how it's received. So then I was in Lombok, and this woman said to me, she was like, oh, there's like an energy healer guy. He's not that spiritual, so it's not like woo woo. It's more like based on like your body. So what I mean by woo woo is that like he's not going to come in and be like, you need to forgive your great grandfather for this troublesome thing. You know, it's not like assumption based. Does that make sense? So I went in anyway, and this guy was like, yeah, lie the fuck down. And he grabbed my wrist, elbow, shoulder, underneath here. And the second he touched it, like touched it really hard, it had an extreme amount of like blockages, the way it's described. And I initially was like, what the fuck? I had so much pain. And he grabbed my hand and he started like running his hand over my hand. And he was like, yeah, he had broken English. So he was like, like super stressed, like too much pressure, like overthinking. And he worked my hand so hard that I was screaming, full pelt screaming. And under here, all on like the masculine side, the right side, nothing on the left. Like not one thing on the left.
Shadow wifey.
I was screaming, bear in mind, top of my lungs. And everyone was in the room next door, and they're like, Jesus fucking Christ, because they were going next. And I went first. And on my neck, like he basically like cracked everything in my body that, you know when people like do breath work and they tell you to like exhale really loud. It's kind of like a bit cringy because you're like just doing it like, ugh. The way he was cracking my body, and especially those parts, I was exhaling not by choice in those breaths, like heavy breaths. And he was doing it for like 45 minutes. He did my feet. He said there was loads of problems with my feet, loads of problems with my knees. And then I got up and I was like super relaxed. It's kind of like the feeling of coming off of psychedelics. And I was sitting there, and Alicia was like, how do you feel? Because like you were just screaming for the past 45 minutes. And I was like, I feel like forgiving. Genuinely, that's how I felt. I felt like forgiving for like all the shit that's kind of happened and stuff like this. And so I felt like really good. And then I felt really tired. And then I woke up the next day and I was so sick. I had the worst flu I've ever had for about 10 years of my life the next day. And that went on for like a week.
It's interesting how the body reacts to these things. But yeah, congrats on doing that.
But again, that's kind of common in like Reiki culture too. I'm not really not familiar with it, but
The majority of my guests run content businesses. They've used content as the main element of their business to drive more revenue and build their influence online. We've been doing this through a podcast for many years. We have many guests, clients, and even customers use a podcast as their main source of driving more revenue for their business and building their influence online. And we're offering a handful of spots to book in a call with our team to learn how you, yes, you, can leverage a podcast to generate more revenue for your business and drive your influence online. Many of our clients and customers start from nothing, but each one of them are action takers and they want to learn more about how to build a podcast and a brand right around their business. So if you want to learn more and you're really interested in building a podcast, check out the link down below and book in a free call with our customer success manager, and he will guide you into how you can build and generate more revenue from your podcast this year.
Yeah, it's like the whole vibe, spiritual vibe of these things.
So would you say you're quite spiritual?
Yeah, I'm heavily spiritual.
In what way? Like, what do you do?
Well, throughout my life, like my parents have always led with energy healing and all these things. Crystals have, I know they weren't something new to me when they started becoming like a thing, manifestation, all these things. My dad literally manifested me. There's points where I will be in places in London and I'll send my dad a photo and then he was like, I literally manifested having you when you were like, when I was walking in this road that you're walking in right now, I manifested seeing you being graduated and living like a happy life. So I am a manifestation of my dad's dreams. And so I think that energy just lives within me. So everything just really comes down to my parents and how they raised me. I manifest things quite like a lot. Like I will think of something and it will become reality. It's not just woo-woo, it's also like the actions that I take towards that.
Of course, yeah.
But I will think of something, and Dakota has seen that. Like I will say something, and then in 2 weeks or maybe a month, it just comes true. I manifested being in your podcast.
Huh.
I manifested working with Sean. I manifested being the person I am today. And it is not coincidence. It's just like a sequence of events where you see it happening, and then you manifest a thing, then you let it go. And then you just assume it works. So it's called the law of assumption, where you think of your manifestation and you write it down, right? And this is where people go wrong. Like they think manifestation is just saying things into a mirror and hoping it happens. But ideally, when you take the law of assumption, it is more about you assume it's happened. So you act accordingly to what is happening after that, or who you are if that has happened. And then I think it, I let it go. And then I'm not attached to this manifestation either. Because I know if it is for me, it will come to me. And if it's not, it won't. So I just let it go. But then it happens as a result. So I'm very highly conscious about the things I say and the things I speak into existence. So even if I'm ill and I'm scared, I'm a hypochondriac. So I always think that I have the worst illness possible. And if I'm freaking out and people are asking me about what do I think I have, I'll never say it because I don't want to speak into existence, because I know how powerful our words are. In like our tongue is like literally energy, and words are energy. And hence why also in the Bible, like cursing is a sin, or just not simply allowed, because it is just bad energy. You're not meant to be swearing so much as well, because it's just like negative energy you're putting out in the universe.
You kind of touched on that, so which was like the difference between like manifestation and planning is what?
I guess manifestation is just allowing the energy there and then putting it into the ether, but then you just do the thing. But I think the idea of manifestation is just consciously acting towards a goal and believing it so highly, and then the planning comes within that. But that's why there's so many different types of ways of explaining spirituality. Like Joe Dispenza, you're familiar with him? So he is the best person to explain manifestation to highly logical people, which is usually men. So every time I'm talking about manifestation, I will always bring him up because he's got receipts about why manifestation works, because he's actually tested this as he's a doctor. So he has like brain scans of like what happens to people's brains when they start meditating and how it activates their entire brain.
It's funny because one of my close mates, and he's like also my program, Navdeep, oh shit, I gotta get back to that girl. Fuck. Just reminding me. Basically, this woman, Caitlin O'Toole. Oh fuck, I gotta go back to her. She's meant to. Oh my god. I'll leave the message open.
Quick break.
Yeah, it's fine. We'll leave it in. We'll leave everything in. Cut nothing. So this woman, Caitlin O'Toole, which you'll get on really well with, I think you'd be a really good fit as well, just like kind of similar vibe. She's big on like manifestation and like how it all connects, how everything connects, all that kind of stuff, okay? But the clear distinction here is that it gets picked up by the business community when it's for a business outcome. So if you're, because my mate Navdeep asked me a very simple question, which is why does some like spiritual personal development people take off and why do some people not? And I think it's because some of them have the outcome of whatever that may be. Your business, generally related to business or health, okay? Not necessarily relationships per se. And the reason being is because if you're not orientated towards like what we are, it's very easy to be put into the bucket of like the Thailand and flip-flop people. Does that make sense? Whereas like what you're explaining right now in the Joe Dispenza reference is exactly why it works for these types of people. So again, you need the receipt. And if you look at that woman, she's super impressive. I'm trying to record a podcast with her today, apparently. It's 9 o'clock already.
So she's coming after?
Well, we were meant to record a podcast, but I didn't text her back. Anyway,
You texting her?
I'll text you back tomorrow.
No, don't text her back now.
It's okay.
I want to meet her.
Shriko.
Yeah,
Shriko,
go
she's
on.
based in Miami. I'll send you her IG.
Okay.
But the logic, the logic basically is just that when you have the action related to the mindset, that's when this becomes like full circle. And that's why I asked you what's the difference between planning and manifestation.
It's just like it's both at the same time. It's like different labels for different things. I do think that there is like a more science based argument towards why manifestation is not just planning and doing the thing. I think it is more about who you're aligning with and your spiritual self and your higher self and who you want to become and all these things about healing your inner child and destroying your ego that also come within the acts of manifesting and just simply being spiritually healed with all of these things. The pandemic and quitting alcohol led me to an extreme healing of my inner child because my inner child is always looking for, I'm always looking to feel involved. I was heavily abandoned, not by my family on purpose, but my dad was always working and my mom isn't really an affectionate person. So I always have like that abandonment issue. And I'm always seeking it somewhere. And so hence why I was always drinking and at parties, not because I liked drinking, but I liked being around people that I thought they liked me.
Included.
Right? And then and I love that song Swimming Pools by Kendrick Lamar. There's like rooms full of people and you dive in it because he explains why people drink so much, like something drink, and that's why I was drinking, not because I wanted to be drunk, but simply I just wanted to be in that company. And then being forced to be alone and isolated during the pandemic, again, forced me to reflect on who I am as a person and what am I actually seeking and why am I always seeking all with other people. And then I ultimately, after, I guess, 4 years now, 5, I found what I was seeking in other people was within myself. And that came through a spiritual awakening and healing my inner child a little bit. I'm not fully healed. I don't think I'll ever be, but it's part of it. And spirituality came in so heavy for me for that.
Would you ever take psychedelics?
Yeah, I've done it.
Sick.
I've done mushrooms with my mum.
With your mom?
Yeah, she's cool like that.
I would not expect that from your mom.
I know she doesn't look like the person. You met my mum.
I would think that like she'd be like, do your homework.
She did, and but I think at one point my depression was getting slightly out of hand. Diagnosed with BPD, depression, anxiety, OCD, all of these things, and out of, I guess, desperation, I sought information, and one of those pieces of information was this book by Michael Pollan called How to Change Your Life, and he talks about psychedelics. And I was reading it, and then I went deep into psychedelic medicine and all of these things that, this mushroom could do for you. And I started obviously talking to my parents about it because I didn't have any friends in Mexico when I was in COVID. And I could only talk about it with them. And mushrooms and all these like natural healing is part of our culture, simply like the Aztecs and the Mayans and all of them. Yeah. So in Mexico, that mushrooms and all these are like heavily dominant or they're part of who we are. And so I was talking to my mom about it, and I guess she got the gist that as soon as I would leave Mexico, I would go and seek psychedelics. And she was very scared that I would end up in a bad place because there's so many things that could go wrong in like a psychedelic trip, especially if you're not around the right people, because your environment in which you're doing the trip really does impact your experience.
Yeah.
And she was scared. So she one day pulled up to my room while I was like kind of like working. And then she was like,
Writing a LinkedIn post.
yeah, like trying to,
Shipping balls.
no, I think back then I was drop shipping. You didn't know?
No.
I have depth, I have so much to me, but I was drop shipping my fucking hand cleaner, whatever. And she was like, what?
Go on.
And then she just rocked up and she was like, hey, what are you doing first? And I'm like, nothing. She's like, I got us to like tickets.
Go to the bag.
Yeah. No, I got us 2 tickets to see the shaman. It was gonna be a controlled trip. And she was like, I'm gonna do it with you. And I'm like, I never asked you. And she was like, I know, but I know I'd rather you do it with me than do it with someone else. And my mom is like a cynic. You saw her, like she's like cynical, like she's quiet. Yeah. She's just like a black cat. I'm a black cat, but she's even like a black cat. And we went there and we did mushrooms, and it was the worst experience of my life, but also the best thing that I could have done at that point for me.
What was it like?
I never tried psychedelics before. And in the book that I was reading, How to Change Your Life by Michael Pollan, it was explaining like how you have this ego death and you find yourself and all these things. Now I've read it. I'm gonna have this ego death and I'm just gonna change, and it's gonna change my life. And I'm so excited, and I'm gonna be a new person in my dream reality. And I take this mushroom and I lie down and I don't see anything for like an hour. And I'm like, and I take a little bit.
Oh no, you're never meant to take 2.
And then my mom, I think she took the whole mushroom while we were there. And then so we both lie down. And then all of a sudden I start feeling a little bit like, and I start seeing Alice in Wonderland, like the full rainbow thing and cats. And I'm like, I don't want this. I left that out in my uni days because I was already sober. Like, if I wanted to see Alice in Wonderland, I would do all the drugs or go to a festival. Like, yeah. I want that ego death. And I think that's why I didn't have my ego death, because I was so much egotistically wanting an ego death, because I was like, yes, I deserve this ego death.
Push and
right
pull.
Now.
It's the energy again.
Yeah. So then I look at my mom, and my mom is like on the corner just looking at me. Her pupils are dilated, and she's like, I'm not high. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I don't feel anything, and all these people are crazy. Can we fucking go home? I'm like, no, I'm trying to have this crazy spiritual awakening. And then my mom is right there like judging me because I look high, and then I'm half tripping seeing cats, and then I'm half like seeing my mom. And it's just like, okay, well, I'm not getting anything out of this. And I get angry, and I'm like, why? Where is my ego there? And so at the end, the ladies that were running the thing, who also weren't meant to take mushrooms, but they ended up taking mushrooms as well. So like the entire thing was like a mess, and it was not controlled whatsoever. And then they come to us tripping, and my mom was already judging them because they were meant to be teaching us, and then she just didn't take them seriously. They're like, okay, so what did you get from the experience? And I was like, nothing. I
need a refund.
I was like,
Scam.
I want to talk to the manager and the shaman. And then they were like, okay, but what were you seeking? And I was like, I don't know. What were you seeking, an ego death? And I was like, because I just need to heal. And they were like, why are you here with your mom? And then we got into it slightly. And in that question, why are you here with your mom? And I said, I don't think she loves me. And then my mom goes like, why the fuck do you think that? And I'm like, because you've never said it to me. And she's like, do I need to say it for you to like, do I really need to say this? And I'm like, yeah, like, I have this heavily, I guess I'm always seeking for validation because my mom never gave me verbal confirmation that she was proud of me. And hence why I'm like a high performer, because high performers are always like deeply insecure, and they're always like looking for that validation that they never got when they were a kid. And I went and excelled at university just on spite of my mom, because I never thought I would be good enough for her. And her and only her. Like, my dad loves me and adores me. He will throw flowers at me. I will if I wake up, he will be so proud of me that I breath. Like if I made my bed, he's like, I'm so proud of you, sweetie. My mom is the opposite. And so I was like, I wrote an entire dissertation. I got the best grade at university. I dedicated it to you. You never read it. And I was really hurt by that because I wrote like this 8,000 word dissertation, best grade in the year. I was not an A-star student. And then I did that for her. Never read it. Wasn't interested. And it really hurt me. And I said that. And then she was like, but why? And then we got into like the deepest conversation we ever had about it. And then it ended up happening that there was like something rooted when I was a child. And then we went into it. And then the shaman says, so they told my mom something about her that I didn't know. No one knew. Like she didn't even remember about her past with experience having kids because I was her Reiki kid. She obviously had failed having kids before. And they told her something about what happened then. And my mom was like, oh my God. And then that tied 2 and 2 together as to why our relationship was like that. And then that single conversation changed the dynamic of our relationship forever. And so I went from feeling insecure to just feeling very loved by my family. And that love now powers through me as into every single thing that I've done now. And it goes back to then again, like my need for community and belonging, because like that is what powers me.
What would you say is like your love language? So is it like words of affirmation?
All of it.
Give me the fucking gifts.
I gives attention, acts of service, all of it. All of it. But I give all of it as well. Like I am a very loving friend.
You brought brownies.
Yeah. Thank you. I was
No.
also very late, so
You are 2 hours late. I see that pattern though quite a lot in entrepreneurs, you know? Like it is very common that the earlier experiences of like insecurity or not being good enough just reverberates throughout their life. You know, it is a constant, I think. And I don't know, is there like a really like a solution to it? Because like a lot of people have to go through this. Like you can reflect on it now and we can chat about it now 4 years into your journey. But without going through the grunt work that you've done in the dissertation. Dude, I remember when you were in university and you were messaging me saying you were doing your dissertation. That was not long ago.
yeah, it was crazy.
I remember when you were doing your dissertation. I remember you were writing it. Fucking hell, that was like 3 years ago.
I know.
Phew, time has flown, man.
But I think also there's a line where you can either choose to become a victim or the hero of your own story with all these things, because everyone goes through something hard in life, right? And then people choose to then stick to the victim mentality of like, why me? And like the world is broken and these people are cheating and these people are scamming and everything is wrong, politics X, Y, and Z. And then you realize that, well, I realized through seeing people that who cares about what other people are doing, you just focus on yourself now. And then I could have so easily just drawn, like be so addicted to being that victim and be like, oh, but my childhood this and I did this and everything went wrong and I'm Mexican, I'm brown and like no one takes me seriously. I get these questions so often, like how does it feel to be a woman in business that has of color? And I think of
that time.
I forget that I forget about my skin color sometimes. And I'm like, I don't think about it at all, because I don't think of myself as a woman of color or like a woman in business. I just think of myself as someone in business doing cool
You're just
things.
a person.
But these people, the people will choose this label and be addicted to this label so much because it defines them. It's why people are addicted to personality types like ENFP, all of these things, because they love feeling part of this label and it brings them safety, right? But I think those labels are harmful when you're trying to grow out of this thing that's stopping you.
And people want to put you back in that box. That's an important part.
It's being in a box. Oh, I'm like this because my mom was like this, and I'm like this because my dad was like, okay, but you are who you are. How are you going to change that moving forward? Become aware of the problem that you have today and then fix it. Otherwise, you're gonna keep repeating the cycle. There's this audio that I listened to a while ago. It's like, break the cycle today or the pattern will repeat itself tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that I always think about it when I'm starting to feel bad or I'm going through something hard. And then you get addicted to that comfort of feeling sad or like you're crying or whatever. And then you have to choose to stop it before it gets worse. And you become addicted to the feeling because sadness is also like addictive. And then you turn to alcohol, drugs, or whatever to make yourself better, to give yourself that dopamine. But we need to choose better dopamine to change our habits and then break the cycle and not repeat it.
That's why misery loves company, right? So, and even like, you know, me and Dakota chat about this in our podcast too.
You both sad. And
No, it was just interesting, like the way that people channel it in different ways, right? There's so much people will lean on it. And then they're the ones that are disgruntled at 30, 40, 50 years old. They're just going to be so disgruntled in society. Whereas for someone like us, you just channel it and you move the fuck on.
using this a lot.
Yeah.
Camera.
It's actually dropping in 4K. You can see it.
Sorry.
You're right. Take a break.
Okay.
But I think that's cool though. Like I think it's cool not to be like a bitch about it and just be like, okay, I want to move on from that. The labels thing is just kind of stupid. Now, obviously, you could be like, oh, it's so easy for me to say, but for the most
You're a white guy.
white guy, shredded, rich, 6'3".
What? the tallest man in the room.
Tallest. I could be. Dakota, what are you?
I'm taller.
No, I'm taller. Taller. Yeah. You know, on my Hinge bio, when I found my wife, I think my height was like 5'8".
What's your height?
Like 6 foot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I put, yeah, so I had like a fake height. And then apparently when I met up with Elise, she like came around the corner and she was like, he's not 6 foot. That was probably the first thing she said in her head. But yeah, it's just funny
It worked out for the best.
And it worked out for most part.
Happy for you.
So what's the plan now? Like, what do you? So you've like conquered LinkedIn, and you're kind of like done that. I know you're gonna keep growing it, and you're gonna get to like 1 million. You're obviously gonna get to like 1 million followers, and that's gonna be big. But what would you want to see next? Like, I know you're doing YouTube. You might want to ramp that up. Do you plan to go broad?
Broad with my content or
reach? Like, you know, do like a Layla Hormozi on it.
I've been thinking about it. It's something I would like to do, but I don't think I'm ready yet. I've been steering
That's
off.
bullshit.
What do you mean?
You have everything you need. Like, you already have the receipts. You know what you're doing. You have the offers. Like, you have the attitude for it. You can go on broader channels. You know,
What do you mean attitude?
You have the charisma. You're not just like a. You're not like
it's charisma.
You're not like a Todd from accounting and KPMG. That's like, this is how I improve my spreadsheets on LinkedIn. Like, you have the characteristics to kind of dominate on different channels. You know.
I don't think it's not that I'm not technically able to. I've been approached by like 5 managers this weekend at the event, and they're like, oh, but like you'd kill it on Instagram and you kill it on TikTok. I know. Oh, you could. I know I can. I've done it before. But the reason why I stayed away from Instagram and TikTok so much, I just hate the idea of being seen for like, it's also weird. Like, and I know like everybody says like I'm decently looking and I can communicate quite well. I'm not bad to look at. And I sort of like hate that because it distracts from the main thing that I want to communicate.
True, but like you look at like Cody Sanchez, you look at Layla Hormozi, like they're also women that people find attractive, right? You know. But people will find them attractive.
I don't. It's that exactly. I see how Lila gets torn apart on her TikToks because how she speaks, like she speaks like a man apparently, or like she looks like X. And I don't want to expose myself to that energy. It gives me high anxiety.
Okay.
I've kept my sanity on social media and grown a business that does well on itself without having to put so much of me in the
Okay, let's simplify it.
thing.
Why not just do, you know, like the LinkedIn style videos you do where like this is your headshot and you're wearing like a blazer or some shit, and like do that on like Instagram or TikTok.
Is the attention like I'm not ready for the mass attention that could potentially get me, and that is something I had to come to terms with because it's just distracting. I could just double down on the things that I enjoy, like LinkedIn and YouTube, and then leave the rest. I don't think I have to do omni-channel, and if I do at some point, hopefully by then I'll have a team that knows how to clip my YouTube and do it well enough so they go viral and they grow.
And you also have Twitter
Yeah.
already, you know?
Yeah.
So it's
So
not like you're not.
I do find more enjoyment in being on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter because they do have the higher echelon of consumers and creators. Like Twitter has incredibly intelligent people talking about highly relevant things to me. I know that if I go on Twitter, I'm going to learn something. I know if I go on LinkedIn, I'm going to network with someone cool. I know if I'm going on YouTube, I will learn something long form. On Instagram and TikTok, it's more like dopamine land.
True.
And
could be kind of how you curtail it too, right? Because like I think of Twitter sometimes with like absolute, you know, just anon accounts and just guys that are just there chilling shit, right?
yeah,
Like there's also a counter to everything, and then like, you look at LinkedIn and say there's Todd from accounting, but I think like even from Instagram, like I was really surprised when we doubled down on Instagram, like how much money we made on Instagram.
really.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. It was Tom that did everything for me, you know.
Oh, cool.
He was just like, you know, everyone runs these offers on LinkedIn this way, like a Ravi Avila style content. Like that's kind of what we do for LinkedIn. Way less engagement, but it's just very like sniper shit. And it's just very interesting to observe because I do this thing where I look through likes and I see which ones are customers, clients, and prospects. And it's always very high. Like majority of people that like my stuff are in my CRM. And that means they've touched something. And that's where Instagram for me has really opened up. And the proponent then of like having sales reps in Instagram is another unlock. Because if you get good sales reps, they can kill it. And then, you know, I know it's very controversial to content creators, but if you do unlock ads on Instagram, it's just like on steroids. Like everything is just on steroids, you know, and it's really tough to crack. But if you have good people in your corner, kind of what you said already, yeah, like we've done great stuff on it, and especially in the past 6 months.
Yeah.
And it's quite easy to grow the right audience. Now that's not saying you're super viral, but for me, it's always about depth of the user versus the breadth. So I think you're thinking more in terms of like how viral your stuff goes on LinkedIn.
Yeah, because I'm a growth hacker and I'm addicted to dopamine. I don't want to be on social media if I'm not going to go viral.
Yeah, and like we just have different ways to go about doing it. Like you're equally crushing it more than I am. It's just that I think for our clients, because podcasting is such a slow burner,
Yeah.
that it's helped me realize that not every post has to be a winner to make money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I've just taken that into different
That's the likes and cash vibes
yeah,
from
basically,
JK.
you know. But it's given me a lot of peace and clarity
Yeah.
that it's not
100%.
like, oh, like this has to kill. Because like I look at my story and see who likes the story. Because the story is a TV show, right? It's your TV show with the world. It's just like prospect, lead dot close, lead close, booked call. It's just like dun, 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 dun. It can become very methodical. And I didn't think that because I thought it was like ass abs, OnlyFans links. You know? Like, that was my perception of
But
it
now
until
now it's abs, Mara boards, and then sales.
basically, like I just think if you look at someone like Ravi Avila and you just look at his account and you just kind of like, oh, like that seems pretty logical. And they've done 25 million from an IG funnel, right?
I think the difference between like you and me, I just like the vibes. And if the vibes aren't vibing, I'm not going to be there. And that's where I go wrong that's why I struggle to call myself an entrepreneur because I just go on vibes and I don't have systems. And whether something makes money or not, or whatever, if I'm not happy with it and it's making money, I'm just going to not do it because I don't like the vibes.
Yeah, I kind of had an inflection point about 2 years ago with Tim Stoddard. When I was talking,
Love
I
him.
told Dakota about this as well the other day. There's another podcast.
Say love you, Tim.
Love you, Tim.
Love you, Tim.
There was another podcaster that was kind of coming up at the same time as me, and he was getting way more like engagement, just like engagement. And I said it to Tim because Tim was on both of our shows, and I was like, "Why I don't understand why this guy's videos are popping off." And I remember him saying to me, he was like, "Dude," he was like, "This guy is not an entrepreneur. He's just like a kid." He was like, "You're more like an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and you should lean like that's what you're like known. That's what you're known for, or what you want to be known for." And I was like, "Oh, that makes way more sense." So then I kind of went down the path of like, I want to get good at running offers. I want to get good at or just building a businesses. And then when I have these conversations with other guys who are crushing it, I'm nowhere near their level, but at least I can speak their language, right? Instead of being like a broke creator, being like, how do you make money online? Do you think the Matrix is real? Like, because that's the standard of podcast, though. And that's the reason why, bro, like the standard of podcast is so fucking low because everyone hops on a call and they're like, so how would you make money in 2025? Like, it's just the bar of the level of intelligence for like the make money online space for the podcast is so low because they know that the view metric on the back end is higher when it's the very, very
Basic.
simple.
Basic.
And I don't mean like basic, like, you know, break down a funnel basic. I just mean like things that have no help. Like they don't help anyone. And because I go through the podcast, dude. When I listen to it, I'm like, this doesn't help anyone.
If I say that podcast I hate the most, will you beep it or no?
No, I can beep it. Yeah, I'll make a note of it. But yeah.
No, actually. You know, there's like this one podcast that has like all these like big celebrities and like the conversation is so dull. And it's just so painful to watch this like incredibly highly smart and talented guests being on this podcast that for some reason gets millions of views. And it's just ultimately, how do you make money online? And how does it feel to have a chauffeur that drives you around Dubai?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, okay, cool, that's part of it, but that's not the entire conversation. I don't know where we're going there, rather than how did you get to that level? How does it feel? How are you dealing with it? That's more interesting.
Well, you get to nail the head, which is feeling, right? Because if people want information, they Google it.
Yeah, exactly. ChatGPT.
Yeah, and like that was a big thing for me, which is like the real nuance. If we're getting tactical, it's like, okay, like, and where did they go in the funnel from here? And I'm asking these people, and I learned that from Brett. And Brett was like, Brett often said, he was like, I won't fucking upload a podcast if the guy doesn't tell me what I want to hear. You know, if he doesn't go to that extra level of detail.
That's why he has to upload a house.
Oh, what did you hold back
He
on?
will. No, I think I said just not useful stuff about LinkedIn video.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Brett and I argued in the middle of the podcast, but it was funny. It was like a good argument. It was a more of like a debate, and I had a lot of fun. But I don't think that was the point of the podcast. But hopefully it comes out because it's really good.
Yeah. Well, it's Brett. Isn't it called the Brett way?
Yeah, the Brett way. He's great. He's such a cool guy.
He's so smart.
I was in his program.
Yeah, I heard.
Good program. Very
What was
cool
the
guy.
YouTube strategy?
Huh?
YouTube strategy.
Yeah, YouTube more like, I was going to Brett more for like ideation and what the vibes are, and he's really good with hooks, and he's helped me a lot. And he's just good to chat. He's a good person and good friend. I feel like we're very similar.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time when I recorded with him, and he's very to the point, you know, just a super nice guy, but just no bullshit, you know, very to the point, and just like, yeah, this is what I believe. This is how I'm going about doing it. This is my path, you know. He's a cool guy. What do you want to do for like your own network, like kind of traveling? Because I know you're doing more podcasts, kind of, but you're very selective.
Like this one is my third one with you.
Third one.
Traveling the world with
But
Darren.
we've done 2 in Dubai though, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
When you gotta go to Bali?
I do want to go to Bali now that I've introduced you to my friend Danny. She's
Oh,
cool.
yeah,
She was
yeah.
talking to me about Bali.
Yeah.
You might find
You're kind of a princess though.
Yes.
You know.
I
I feel like I'm gonna be like personally responsible for you.
You will be.
Yeah, and you're gonna be like walking around with like a Chanel bag.
I'll be
and
like,
you're gonna
Brett, I'll be like, why are we here? Like, can we go shopping? No, I wouldn't be like that.
I
But
feel like you will be.
I'd be upset at the sun if it was too hot.
Yeah, you could be a problem in Bali.
Yeah, sorry. That's why I don't leave my house.
Are you ever gonna get out of London?
Probably not.
Why don't you like living in Mexico?
I really resonated with Alex's Mercies, and you actually reposted that why I don't go back home for Christmas.
Yeah, well, I can explain why, and I think just from my own perspective, it's just like I have just like a lot of bad memories in Ireland.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Also, like I'll tell you something funny. Like all the guys that you know, like what me and you do can only work when it's public, right? So it's not building a business in private; like it has to be public. So that was the biggest thing for me was that, you know, I started with like no background in content or business or anything, and I had to do everything public. And like, I would go as far as say like no one supported me, like literally nobody that were like my friends, basically no one. I barely exception maybe 2 or 3, and then the rest like either like laughed at it, joked at it, took the piss out of it, unfollowed me, all that kind of stuff. But the same people have reached back out
Obviously.
for my high school reunion. And I just go,
So-
I just opened the message and I was going through like 50 DMs on I was like booking calls on LinkedIn, and I looked at it and I was like, that's funny, and just deleted it and kept on going. So I kind of have like that like level of like resentment or whatever you want to describe it. But I'm like, why would I open up that door to that like life? And the only reason why I asked for living in Mexico is because like Mexico's like beautiful, you know, it's good like
Yeah.
standard of living or whatever.
But
That's my kind of area. And
well, to me, it's the same. Like, no matter how beautiful you guys would perceive Mexico to be, for me, it was just a horrible place to be at. And I went back home for the holidays for the first time in 2 years. And I actually had to leave home early during Christmas holidays because I just couldn't stand it. It was incredibly hard for me to go back to the place where I was and the people who my parents are. And I love my parents so much. But there is an extent to which I've grown in who I am that it is no longer in alignment to that place. And it just brought up so many bad memories. Like, I was in Mexico for 3 days and I was already having panic attacks.
You took the words out of my mouth. I'm the same. Like I have like, have you ever seen Jason Bourne, Born Identity?
Mm-mm.
You know Born Identity, Dakota? Yeah, you know that movie. But you don't know the movie, you don't know the fucking reference. Basically, there's a point in the movie where he's trying to identify who he is, okay? And he gets these flashbacks. He's walking through the town, he's walking through Paris, and he's getting all these flashbacks, and they're like vroom, vroom, vroom in his face. That's how I feel when I'm like going back to Ireland. I like have, or like I think of like when I was younger. So I get all these like really bad flashbacks, and it like brings up loads of those thoughts. And that's why for me, it's like, again, as you said, it's like the panic attack anxiety around it.
Yeah.
And again, it's all bollocks, right? Because if you think about it, oh, like the holidays, you got to go back and you got to go drinking, and then you got to like buy the present that no one asked for. It's all made up. Like that whole thing is made up. And like Christmas was traditionally a Christian holiday, and now it's just turned into this facade of getting pissed and
It's capitalism central. Like, Christmas is a fabricated holiday to make people spend more. And the idea of celebrating it just doesn't sit right for me. It's like artificial happiness. Like, why do we have to designate a specific day to enjoy being with family rather than, doing all the things with them? I hate the idea of having to sit down and do this thing that we're meant to be doing and pretend to be happy. Like, I am not happy right now in this situation because it's being forced on me to be happy. And whenever anyone's like, "What are you doing for Christmas?" I'm not doing. I work.
I worked.
Yeah, I work. But then they're like, "Oh, but what about your family?" And I'm like, last year I took my parents to Dubai, LA, and traveling. I gave them more than I've ever been able to give them because I worked on Christmas Day and I decided to take off some days during summer and etc. Why is that not socially acceptable? But I have to stay within this social dynamics that people are enforcing on me. Like, I am not a normal person. Why do I have to stick to normal holiday norms? And if
true.
it's also like, if I know what I don't like, why am I doing what I don't like to do just because people are telling me that I feel like I should do it? And in the moment I do accept that I'm doing that thing and that I do the thing that I don't want to do, I do it and I hate myself for doing it. Because then it took me like 3 weeks to recover from my holiday back to Mexico because simply was just so emotionally draining. And it's not to blame anyone. It is simply what it is. It's the situation, it's the location, it is the memories. And it then brought up more on me. And I think I'm going to go back to my hypnotherapist. It's like, are you really healed or are you just ignoring the problem? And I think that's what the holidays brought me.
The big thing for me, actually, Dakota, I was going to say to you was your newsletter around that. When you said like Christmas for you always brought up something like resentment. But then this year you realize like what you're grateful for. Like for me, like I have a family now and I have like a wife and I have dogs and I have like father and mother-in-law. So I've like welcomed more into my family. But then I've also lost everything. Like I've like lost everything, you know? So for me, like that's why it's like, it was like so much resentment. Whereas now me and the family that I have, we every day is a good day. You know, every day is, we don't wait to have the good day. Every day is the good day. You know,
Right.
if we say good morning, we say good night, we say I love you, because I didn't have that. You know, so that's where it's funny, right? People use the calendar for funny, for interesting things, right? It's kind of like the relationships that use Valentine's Day. I've never celebrated Valentine's Day. I've never bought Elise a gift for Christmas. Never bought me a gift for Christmas. We're fucking 12. We're adults. You know, we do things together and we have fun together, but we don't buy each other like things.
I guess that's the beautiful thing about though being so self-aware that you know that you don't no longer have to conform to the social norms and you can just create your own traditions, right?
You create your own world. And just from James Kemp 101 is that rule number one of it, the sovereign way, is you create your own world, whatever that is. The characters that are in the world, the activities you do, the environment, who's inside and who's outside the world. And that's all that matters. And everything else can kind of fuck off, right? It's as simple as that. And he's very strict on what his world is, which is why he only works 2 days a week. And he just created his own universe. And if you don't like it, he doesn't really care because you're not really
care.
you're not really in the world, you know?
Yeah.
So, because everyone's so preoccupied with what's happening outside the world that they're not thinking about what's happening inside their home or inside internally. And that's not woo-woo, it's just the reality, because everything else, biggest observation for me being in America was how if you don't know what you're working towards, they will put things in front of you. So if you go into the gym, there's always 2 TVs, one has sport and one has politics. Always. And you fall into one or 2 brackets. Probably both. People are like super focused on politics, people are super focused on sport, because they don't give you an option. And America's really like in your face with that. But it's just a reality.
It reminds me of that quote by Danko. It's like, if you don't have a purpose, you will be assigned one.
Yeah.
If you don't have a goal, you will be assigned one. If you don't have a lifestyle, you will be assigned one.
And I'm speaking from experience because like I did that. You know, when I was like drinking and shit, I went to university, got good grades, I went to the good companies. And that was miserable. All right, this was fun.